Everyone has a story to tell about a Volkswagen Type 1, also known as a Beetle. Whether it was the first car you owned, learned to drive, had to fix on the side of the road, or maybe it's the first road trip game you played. Slug bug or punch buggy. I'm Greg Lipscomb, and today I'm going to give you a brief history of the Volkswagen Beetle, its popularity, and the demand. So you may want to know, who was the brainchild behind the Volkswagen Beetle? Well, it was Adolf Hitler. He commissioned Ferdinand Porsche to build a small, inexpensive car for the German people. According to Stephen Tolliday, within a few months of seizing power, Hitler met with Porsche in Berlin and told him that he wanted him to design a small four-seater car, a sort of low-price car in which families could take weekend trips, a car for the people. It was to be a low-price, mass-produced car in which Hitler referred to strength through joy car. Porsche would design several models, but production wouldn't take effect for many years because Hitler's war machine would take precedence. All manufacturers in Germany had to shift their their manufacturer efforts to the war and produce war-fighting materials. So the first Type 1 wouldn't hit the streets of Germany until 1938. Now the Type 1 had a radically different design configuration than any other car on the market. It had a rear-supported chassis, an independent suspension, and an air-cooled 23.5 horsepower motor located in the back of the car. Now the motor was designed on similar to a motorcycle engine. This was good for Germans because in the 1930s that was the transportation of choice for most Germans. In fact, according to Stephen Tolliday, the largest motorcycle market in the world was Germany. After World War II, the car scheme was considered to be too simple and not appealing enough to be exported. So in 1945, the first Type 1 was sold in Germany. By 1949, the first Type 1 was exported and sold in the United States. Now the National Post, Financial Post, and FP Investigates out of Canada states 1950s, the Beetle, as it is now called, is exported all over the world and provides particularly popular in North America. Now that I've told you a little bit about the history, the design, and the export, let's talk about the popularity. The Beetle was made so popular in the 1960s that sales exceeded 200,000 in the United States alone. Some of the popularity could be contributed to the American countercultural flower power, or it could be the Disney movie starring a 1963 Volkswagen Beetle named Herbie. So now I told you a little bit about the popularity in the 60s. Let's go over the enthusiast. Enthusiasts today can be seen scouring farmlands, old barns, fields, salvage yards, and the internet looking for these gems. Restoration has been made pretty easy because in the 1960s design platform has been in production in Mexico since the 70s, and it just stopped its production in 2003 was the last one that was built in Mexico, and it was actually shipped to Germany and it's displayed in the museum now. So restoration parts are pretty readily available. You can find them on the internet, specialty shops, car shows, swap meets. The price for these restoration parts are relatively cheap when you compare them to other cars of that era. Now talking about car shows, they have Volkswagen exclusive car shows and drag races that are held from the East Coast to the West Coast annually. A lot of them are in California. Now that 23.5 horsepower motor has been tweaked and technology has skyrocketed the horsepower. You can witness these once sluggish cars do wheel stands coming off the starting line of a drag strip. Now another thing that enthusiasts have to have is repair manuals. They have to be able to keep that Volkswagen going. One such manual is this one here, and it's how to keep your Volkswagen alive, a manual of step-by-step procedures for the complete idiot. It's by John Mayer. It started in 1969, and John died in 1977. This manual that I have here is the 19th edition, and it has updated troubleshooting, photos, and updated resources list. My dad actually told me about this same manual that he had when he had a Volkswagen Beetle, and I was able to find it on the internet. So now that I've told you about the popularity and how the enthusiasts are with Beetle today, let's go over what I talked about. I covered what the Beetle was, where it is, and where it has been. Today you should know a little bit more about the history of the Beetle, the popularity, and the demand by enthusiasts today. So today when I stroll around town in my 1970s Volkswagen Beetle, I can witness children and adults alike still playing slug bug and punch buggy. A message from Adolf Hitler to Ferdinand Porsche delivered the Volkswagen Beetle to the world, and it's still alive today and in demand.